Another die, another dollar.
Get out of your mouth. I'm gonna poop on you.
Boop!
Wow, both you and Sarah.
Did we both say boop? Okay, lesson of the day today. Here is the oil pan. Here's a fitting on here. Oil line. Somebody just threw a tomato at me. A little cracked, but I'll eat it. The perp is left, but thanks for the tomato. 10 AN oil line. Another fitting. And then this goes onto the turbo. So I'll show you guys how to throw the line onto the fitting here. And I'm hoping my turbo isn't too close to where these fittings will be meshing or hitting, because some people have that issue. So I'll have to see what happens here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, these eBay pieces really give you a brain workout. So I'll show you what I'm dealing with. You guys just saw me configuring every which way I could do with these oil lines. So I have this piece as well, this flat one. So it looks like you could use the flat one and it would be okay to run like this 45 to the flat or to the straight one. It just doesn't work out. So what I did is I went ahead and loosened up the hot side of the turbo so I could move it here. And this looks like the best way I've found so far is to have the 45s kind of cockeyed in there and then just have the tiniest little piece of this 10 AN line that I can in there. And we'll see if that works. So now I'm going to show you guys how to loosen these fittings up and shove the line in there. Before we do that, I just went ahead and Teflon taped this up here, the bung. And that one's Teflon taped as well. The oil pan, I forgot to say, is just on there mocked up with 3 bolts right now. I don't have the oil pan gasket yet. This is just temporary. Okay, oil drain lines 101. Let's get started. So first of all, you're gonna take this thing off here. Looks like this. And for starters, we're gonna Teflon tape this. All right, next you're gonna grab these two here and we're gonna shove this hose into here. So how we do that is you tuck in a corner here. This one's pretty frayed, it might be a little difficult. But basically you tuck in a corner. You can use a vise if it helps you. And then get your flathead screwdriver and you help tuck in the rest of it that isn't tucked in yet. Next step is to twist it on there. So you're gonna push down as you twist back and forth. So now you can see that the rubber is pushed right up against the edge there. What you're gonna do now is just move it back just a smidge. Just a little bit so the threads can bite there. Then what you're gonna do is grab a Sharpie, mark where the hose is. This way you can see if the hose slides out or not when you're doing the next step here. All right, and your next step is to start threading it on here whilst you push on this hose. So here we go. There we go, I can feel some resistance. Always utilize a croissant when you can. And I was trying to get it all the way on there just because I'm packing these 245s in an area where the sun don't shine, and I just wanted to get it as snug as possible. That looks like as tight as it's gonna go. I used the cutoff tool to cut this line, and it reeks of burning rubber and just poop in here. Oof. Anyway, this is the final product. It's gonna be a little longer than I thought, but we'll see if it works. Here we go, first impressions. I just held it up briefly and it looked a little long, but first time tightening it on here, we'll see how it goes. One and... ooh, that's gonna be a squeeze, let me tell you. I had it, how did I have it here? I don't know how I'm gonna tighten that on there. I might have to have the oil pan off, tighten it on there, and then bolt the oil pan on because I don't know how this is gonna work. Okay, well, I guess we got some time to figure it out because the oil pan needs a gasket, so at least we have this part for now. All right, so we have here some D16Y7 injectors out of the D16Y7, the Honda Civic. And I swear with every cut I make, there's a new car here. This is my Legacy GT. Does 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds. It's very fast. I'll probably put a playlist here because it's a cool car, let me tell you. It's a looker too. I love the wagon. Anyway, out of the SI, the v-tec SI of this year, 96 to 2000. And really easy to take injectors out. I think it's just 10 mils here. We'll go ahead and take the old ones out. We'll take off our intercooler piping here for now. Just rest that to the side. Now we got one screw right in here, holding the fuel rail on. When I was taking them out of the junkyard, I just take out these 10 mils and let them fall. That was the nice thing about the junkyard is you don't need all the pieces, so you can just let them go. Anyway, 110 mil. Is that all it is? Is there another one there? Excuse me. What the heck? Ow, another little nut down here. Bear with me. Let's try this again. Okay, don't drop the nut. Oh, oh. Oh, this whole one-handed thing sucks. Probably not the best spot for it, but we're gonna put it right there. Okay, fuel rail should come off now. Okay, camera has to go somewhere. Ooh, that might be a funky little angle. Okay, I took off the wrong bolt here. I took off this 10 mil, but there's a 10 mil nut down here that's gotta come off. All about them nuts. There we go, now it'll wiggle off. Maybe. Get your handy pry tool here. Just pry them out. Pry that fuel rail off. All right, so these stock injectors coming out should be a 190cc, and the ones going in are 240cc's. Hello? Do I have to take the pressure regulator off? I just don't want to get dirt in there. I don't want. Why are you so hard to take off? There's a throttle cable in the way there. All right, so I had to loosen those two 10 mils with a light flash there on the throttle cable holder here because that was in the way of the fuel rail. Next, I removed this 10 mil. Here, let's, I don't have a finger to point, but see right where that is, I removed that one. Then I unplugged this switch here that you can see. And then there's a 10 mil down in this hole, right down there, rusty 10 mil, gotta take that one out as well. You gotta use the baby little 1/4-inch ratchet to get in there because the 3/8 drive impact won't fit. Okay, now this dang fuel rail should come out. At least enough to get the injectors. There we go. Okay, it's a little tight in here, but this is what we're working with. Let's get these off. Keep in mind where this oil line is. A little bit of fuel came out there. So here's the stock 190. It looks like the bottom part is blue. And I wanted to get the SI injectors because I've never switched injectors in anything before. And some people say they run RDX injectors or other Honda injectors, or like a Chevy LS injector, 1000cc, but I didn't know what fits. I wanted something that was just a plug and play. So this one fits right in. The stock 190s have the blue and these 240s have the red. Let's throw these 240s in. Oh, just broke one. I just broke one of my injectors. It just smashed against there and cracked it. The old one, at least. Okay, so I was having issues trying to get these new injectors in there. I was trying to shove them up into the fuel rail. They just wouldn't go. So I was getting pissed off, and I ended up using a little bit of this just engine oil that I have in a bottle. I use it for lubing bike chains sometimes. Just a little dab, rubbed it around the ring, and they pop right in. So let me do that here. I'll show you. Okay, fuel rail's resting in place. We'll go ahead and push it down here if it cooperates. Okay, that was also a struggle. What you have to do when you're putting injectors back in is take the little O-rings out, put the O-rings on the intake manifold first, and then press the injectors down. It was much easier that way. So now we can go ahead and click all of our injectors on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll get it tightened down here. These injectors are pissing me off, and then to top that, I just kicked over this bottle of oil, spilt a bunch of oil all over the floor. So I'm having a good time. Okay, I just threw this pipe back on as well. Now we're gonna size this one up and cut it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out of here. All right, so I'm gonna line it up here with my eyeballs. We're gonna do some chopping. This is what it looks like. Line there, line there. Let's go cut it. I think I'm deaf now, but we got the one side cut. I decided right now to put ear things in when I'm gonna file it, and that's really helpful, right? Anyway, let's just file it down a bit. There you go, smooth as a baby's buttocks. Just finished my second cut and got it all deburred. Let's try it out on the car here. You know what? I think that's gonna work perfect. Coupler on both sides. Bing, bang, boom. Perfect. All right, so before we put this pipe on, we have to do something. So you see how the spot that I cut off here has this bead? So this bead is basically for the intercooler coupling to go over, and then your intercooler clamp goes here, and this is just so the clamp and the coupling don't slide off under high boost. So what we're gonna do is we're not gonna make a nice long bead like this. It's just gonna be a couple punches, kind of like this, if you guys can see that. I punched one already, so what I did is I opened up the vise a bit, I put it in here, and then I punched it. So that's what we're gonna do with this one. Just maybe 4 punches on each side here. There. One up there. There we are. That's how you do it. Okay, honestly, I'm hyped on these little punches I just made because a lot of people on the internet use that bead roller method. They use a wire crimper and then they cut off the end of it and modify it with a grinder, and then you can like crimp it all the way around. But this way is 100% free if you have a vise and a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. And that's what I'm talking about. Budget build, baby. So let's get it thrown on here now. All right, look at this. Are you kidding me? This looks so good. So a few things with the eBay intercooler kit here. I put the first one on, I'm like, okay, it should be a 10 mil, hoping it wasn't Imperial. It was a 10 mil. The second one, it didn't fit. Then I'm going, what's going on? So the first one was a 10 mil, the rest are all 11 mils. I don't know why, that's really weird. But it looks really good, and I tell you what, it's a pretty short path to get up to the throttle body, especially when I get this next piece of pipe in here. This is like 10 inches, that's all it's gonna need from the turbo to the intercooler. So it's gonna push this charged air through this path pretty quick here, and it's gonna be awesome, let me tell you. I'm so excited to get this thing started, but this is where we're gonna cut it for today. If you made it this far, congratulations, and thank you for watching the video. Next time, hopefully that oil pan gasket is in, and hopefully also the reducer for the turbo to the intercooler is in too, and then we can get this thing buttoned up. We gotta figure out the downpipe here. I'm gonna have to cut it again and angle it backward. Then I have a boost gauge and an AFR gauge. I'd like to hook those up before I first get it started, because with these injectors, I'm gonna try and run it a little bit with no tune. I know it's not very smart, but I wanna see if it'll run. I saw some videos on YouTube of people doing this and like boosting them pretty hard. I wouldn't go crazy, but I'd love to see if I could hit 7 or 8 pounds of boost on a stock ECU. So I like to play with fire a little bit. If it blew up, I wouldn't be so mad, but I do have some hours logged on this thing now, so I might be a little bit mad, but you know what? If it happens, it happens. And yeah, thanks for watching part 2. Part 3 will be right here, and we'll see you next time.